we go. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I gotta be honest with you. That game drove me nuts. I cannot believe the Buccaneers lost that game. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Tough one. Man, that was an absolute blazer from Cooch, wasn't it?
What a crazy game. The Bulls are bowl bound for the third season in a row. An incredible performance. And listen, we know the competition. They did what they had to do. No more silver linings. No more moral victories. It was put up or shut up time. And boy, did they rise to the occasion.
If you're looking for someone to be optimistic and positive, I'm going to tell you right now, go somewhere else. Don't tune in today. Don't sit here and be surprised. You know I'm very interactive on this show, and I want to hear from you guys a lot. Today is not one of those days. I have a lot to say. And I don't know if 30 minutes before Dr. Carlos Rodriguez is enough. I told my mother, who's laying there laid up with a broken foot, don't tune in until 12:30. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on TikTok, but you're not getting the whole freaking spiel from me today because I'm pissed. Not happy. Ed will join us at 1:30. Doc will join us at 12:30. But we're talking about what the hell's going on with this Tampa Bay Lightning team. A big thank you to our sponsors, Honest Hammer and Evara Health. I'm not giving you the rest of the spiel. You know where to find me. I've been asking you to get some fucking shirts. Please get some shirts. It's the only way we're going to keep this show going. Everybody's getting it today. Literally everybody. There's only a few people that are going to escape the wrath today within the Tampa Bay Lightning organization, and people surrounding the Bolts too, because I'm sick of the narrative of this is okay. It's not okay. This is not okay. It's one thing to lose. It's another thing to lose like that. Effort takes no type of talent whatsoever. I'm not a Lightning fan. I'm a Lightning supporter, and I got to keep it 100 with you guys. The more the Lightning win and the longer they play, the better it is for everybody, including myself. And it's one thing if you're going to lose, but if you're going to lose like that, when it doesn't even look like you give a crap, and I'm not usually the guy that questions effort, but what the hell else can you question? And don't give me the crap with the physicality. They got to be more physical. I've been telling you this shit since day one. Don't be a lame-ass sheep when it comes to hockey because you don't know the sport any better. They weren't tough enough. They weren't physical enough. Shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. Last night's loss had nothing to do with physicality. This team had more penalties than anybody, more fights than anybody in the regular season. What the hell does that have anything to do with managing the puck? What does that have anything to do with Andrei Vasilevsky not being able to stop the puck? The easiest shot he saw all night. What does it have to do with physicality and toughness? Nothing. Shut the hell up when it comes to that. I don't want to hear that shit anymore. Yes, we're questioning their effort. That's ridiculous. And for all the people that want to say, oh, Steven Stamkos, we got rid of him because of the 5-on-5. Another stupid-ass argument. 5-on-5. You know where Stamkos could have helped you last night? Leadership, face-offs, shooting the freaking puck, the power play. I told you guys. You want to get rid of Stamkos because of 5-on-5 because you heard some stupid-ass bullshit stat or analytic. This game is not played and not won and lost on analytics. It's all heart and execution and effort. I didn't see that last night. It's ridiculous. You have got to be kidding me with that effort. The Lightning are 2-9 in their last 11 home playoff games. That's unacceptable. Where's the pride? Where's the juice? John Franzone and the Lightning Vision team do an incredible job setting the scene and the atmosphere. It's one of the best shows in sports. Greg Wolf fires up the crowd like no other. And Sonia Bryson-Kirksey crushes it every single time she cracks that microphone for the anthem. 500th game for her last night. And then the team hits the ice. And then what? Staler than month-old Wonder Bread. I'm sick of watching these types of performances. We see it from every other team in sports. You get that juice from the home crowd. You have 5 minutes where you're buzzing and you're flying around. You don't see that with the Lightning. It's just like ho-hum, no big deal. This is game 10 on a Wednesday night against the Ducks. I'm sick of it. People pay their hard-earned money for those seats and to be in that building. And that's what you reward them with? You're not getting beat by a better team. You're not getting beat by a more experienced team or a team with a better coach or a better goalie. You're getting beat by a team that just wants it more than you. They are more ready than you are when the puck drops. And sometimes that's all it takes. So kudos to the Montreal Canadiens for doing that. At the very least, that's what you should be able to do. And that's what Montreal's doing. That's why they're one win away from advancing. The Tampa Bay Lightning should be embarrassed of themselves and their effort. And for all the talk about bad bounces and bad luck, go put that in a pipe and smoke it. You create your own luck. Have we forgot how this team won Game 4? Brandon Hagel went to the net, the puck went off his chest and went in. He wanted it more. And if Brandon Hagel, if he's not skating around like his hair is on freaking fire, this team has no shot. How the hell did we get here, really, over the last 4 years? And especially in this battle with the Montreal Canadiens, where this team is relying on individual brilliance rather than a championship structure and a championship mentality. Do you have any faith? Do you have any faith that this team is going to win the next 2 games? I can't hate on you if you don't. Let's say they do go up to Montreal and win Game 6 with their backs against the wall, clawing and fighting for every inch. Do you think they're going to come back and win Game 7? 2-9 in your last 11 home playoff games? It's actually 2-11 in your last 13, but I'm not going to count the last 2 in the Stanley Cup final against Colorado because those were 1-goal games, and I don't know if that had. Maybe it did. 2-11 in the last 13 games. Everybody keeps saying home ice is so important. Home ice is so important. For what? For what? If that's the type of effort that you give. Trash performance from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, if you are looking for positivity today and you're looking for optimism and you're looking for some saving grace, go somewhere else. Go turn on a different radio show. Go find a different podcast. Go listen to Montreal today. And again, I love you guys. I interact with you every day. Please kill the like button wherever you're watching from. But I could give 2 shits about your comments today because I am flying and I don't know if I'm coming down. And we're going and we're not stopping because everybody is catching the rat today. And we're going all the way up. We're going all the way up to Julian Breezebois, who wants to give me a funny look yesterday up in the press box because of my bird shoes. I guess I can't fault him for that. Marissa, you're probably right. I got to get rid of these damn things. And we start with Julian for this reason. I said this last week. In sports, we get so tied up on nostalgia. We get so tied up with, well, this is what they used to do. And this is what the team used to have. And this is what their pedigree is. And this is what their experience is. You know what our experience is here in the Tampa Bay area? It isn't back-to-back Stanley Cups. It's being one loss away from 4 straight first-round playoff exits. And I don't want to hear anything about it's tough to win. It's tough to make the playoffs. It's tough to win in the playoffs. That is such a loser type of mentality. This is supposed to be Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Did that shit just dissipate? Did it disappear? We're not supposed to hold ourselves to high standards. This is why people look down at this market, because of ideology like that. Well, we're not good any good. We suck again. Oh, we should just be thankful that we made the playoffs. Bullshit. Where's the pride? This is unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. This team had Stanley Cup aspirations. Stanley Cup, not playoff aspirations. This isn't some young upstart with a new coach trying to get their feet wet. This is a team that has Stanley Cup champions on it, but that doesn't mean anything when the puck drops. Julian Breezebois, start with you. The fact that Julian Breezebois has been so stubborn when it comes to making changes with this team, it's wild to me. Because it does not take a super genius who studies hockey analytics 24/7 to realize that this team is missing a lot. Face-offs, I don't even want to look at the numbers. I don't even want to look at the numbers of the face-offs because they're that bad. Me, you, Benny, Marissa, SRQ, Tom, Jim, anybody. You guys would fare better than the Lightning do in the face-off circle. Atrocious. You didn't go get anybody at the deadline that's going to help you with face-offs? None? Your only acquisition was Corey Perry? Corey Perry? The experience is great, but he looks slower than hell in this series. He turned the puck over that led to the first goal, and he has not been a factor whatsoever in this postseason. He looks terrifyingly slow. Julian has not done enough. And that's why this team is one win away from going home, or one game away from going home. Could have got Mike McCarron, could have got Vincent Trocheck, could have made a bold move to do something. No bold moves. The only bold move this team has made in the last couple of years is getting rid of Steven Stamkos. How's that worked out? John Cooper. John Cooper's getting out-coached by Marty St. Louis in this series. He is getting out-coached in this series. I'm going to say it again. Can you believe that? Can you honestly believe that a guy that is going to go down as one of the greatest coaches in the history of this game is getting out-coached by a guy who's got the rafters, his number in the rafters? This is on everybody. This is on absolutely everybody. And I was so pissed last night. I was so pissed when I left the building. I have not left a game that early in so freaking long. I couldn't get out of there quick enough because I'm hearing bad luck and bad bounces and John Cooper not having the answers to the questions. This is a what have you done late for me? What have you done for me lately life that we live in? And what have you done for me lately sports world that we live in? What has John Cooper done the last 4 years? He has to be culpable in this. If you can't get your team ready in the last 11 home games, and it's one thing if you're losing heartbreak, you don't look ready. You don't look fired up. You don't look prepared. Listen, it's inexcusable. John Cooper needed to make adjustments after game 3. He did so. Will he make adjustments after game 5? Maybe. But did anybody else find it curious last night that when John Cooper, who usually puts his line in the blender, didn't do that at all last night? Circle the wagons, just keep going. I don't feel it. I don't feel it with Coop. I love Coop. I do. Great guy. He's been good to me. I know he's had a rough year, but I don't feel the pain. It's it's tough to win. It's tough. I wonder. People are saying something last night about Connor McDavid. Maybe Connor McDavid will come play for Coop. Do we even know Coop's going to be here in the next couple of years? Been here a long time. His kids are getting older. I don't know, man. Last night was one of those feelings where I had, and I looked at John Cooper and I go, how much longer do you really have here? Because I sat in a similar chair years ago when Dirk Cutter was asked, what are you going to do, Dirk? How are you going to fix this? You know what Dirk Cutter said? I don't know. There was a lot of I don't know coming from John Cooper last night. It's not good. It's not good. I'm not saying they should get rid of him. I'm not saying he's done a terrible job. But something's not working with this team. And if you don't think that Julien Brisebois and John Cooper are part of that problem, you're lying to yourself. I give them all the credit in the world when things go well, but you're naive if they don't deserve some of the blame when things don't go well. It's not good. The fact that Victor Hedman is in this series is another thing that I've been thinking about a lot. And I've been telling you guys, being respectful of Hetty. But here's the thing, guys. Whatever Victor Hedman is going through, right? He's traveling with the team. He's been practicing. And I'm sitting there yesterday at the arena, waiting for the show to start. And I'm looking across the ice, and I see Victor Hedman sitting on the bench, drenched in sweat. And I'm like, whatever he's going through, he can practice hard. He can go out there with his teammates and do a practice for an hour or two, but he can't play. We've been very respectful of everything he's going through and not being speculative. I understand, but you're practicing with the team. And you're not just kind of skating around doing laps either. You're putting yourself in a position where it looks like you could play. It's not sitting right with me right now. It's not. I was going to go to Vazzy next. Let's go to Vazzy next because I'm about to lose my shit with the next guy. You know, Andrei Vasilevsky hasn't won a back-to-back playoff game in 4 years. 4 years. For all the talk about him being the best goalie in the world, the best goalie in the world doesn't give up a goal he gave up last night. And there's too many times when people want to talk about numbers and analytics and, well, he made all these other saves. It's not about the amount of saves. It's about when you make them. John Cooper's been saying that shit for years. I don't give a crap about save percentage. I don't give a crap about goals against. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you give up 5 in a 6-5 win, as long as you make the saves when it matters. That is the most important thing. Throw the numbers out the window. I do not care. Make the saves when you have to make them. That's it. That was a horrible goal to give up from Alexander Texier last night. Horrible. If you are the best goalie in the world, that cannot happen. Not good. And now we'll go to this guy. You guys ready for this? Because nobody in this frickin' town or this city says anything about Nikita Kucherov. And they kind of just blow it off. Or they say, well, look how great he was in the regular season. Look how many points he has. Look how dynamic he is. He's going to win another scoring title. He's going to be another MVP. Who gives a crap about regular season statistics and awards? Not I. He could have 100 MVPs. If they get bounced in the first round, that means nothing to me whatsoever. 1 goal in his last 19 playoff games? 1? And here's the thing. If you look at how they're defending Nikita Kucherov, they're not defending him the way that Florida is, or Florida did. Florida would send guys to him all the time. They're not even defending him like that. They're letting him sit there with the puck. They beat him in multiple ways. Florida would smother him. They'd be all over him. Montreal's giving him time and space and taking away everybody else, and he still can't do anything. And here's the thing that really pisses me off about Nikita Kucherov last night. He turns that puck over. He turns that puck over and gives up a breakaway going the other way. And what does Nikita Kucherov do? His first reaction is this. Go back. Go back and see it. His first reaction is not getting back, not helping your defenseman, not helping your best friend, Andrei Vasilevsky. It's awful. Absolutely terrible. His body language sucks. The true strength of a person is not measured at their strongest, but at their weakest. And you know when Cooch is having a bad night. Everybody in the building knows when Cooch is having a bad night. The millions at home watching on TV around the world know when Cooch is having a bad night. And then everybody's like, ugh. Don't want to bother him. He's been so great for us. He does so many things. He could pull magic out of his ass out of nowhere and get us back in the game, which is true. But that attitude stinks. And if you don't think that has a negative effect on this team, you're crazy. You're crazy. The pouting, the moaning, the bitching, the complaining, it's terrible. Terrible. If that is a guy that wears an A on his chest for your team, how is that a positive? When everybody talks about Cooch being a great teammate, it's about his work ethic. It's about how hard he works. And how he drags his team into the fight offensively. Does anybody ever say, you know what, when things are down, when chips are down, he picks me up. He battles through adversity. Does he ever say that? Does anybody ever say that? Nobody says that. And one guy that used to keep him in line was Steven Stamkos. He could say, hey, man, come on. We still got to go. Where's that? Who's holding Nikita Kucherov accountable? I'll wait. Who's holding him accountable? And you can't get rid of him. And you're about to pay him. You're about to give him an extension. He's one of the best players in the world. But if you don't think his negative attitude has affected this team in the postseason, you're crazy. You're nuts. You're absolutely crazy. Something's got to give. For all the talk about Ryan McDonough and Eric Chernak and how poor they played last night, you really have to understand that defending in hockey has more to do with the entire team than just the defense. You're putting all of these goals on them too. And I saw something last night with expected goals for and expected goals against. Let's listen. They're going against the best players on the other team pretty much every single night. For the most part, their expected goals for are going to be less than their expected goals against. That's not some incredible, oh my God, I can't believe it. You want to fault them for the goals. The first goal is on Corey Perry turning the puck over in the neutral zone. Eric Chernak wasn't even up at the blue line yet, so he was already halfway in the zone, so he couldn't step up. And then Brendan Gallagher skates in. Connor Geekie did not pick up his man. Chernak and McDonough are in the right spots. Geekie doesn't pick up his guy. Gallagher comes in after. That second wave is supposed to be on the forwards. That's not on McDonough and Chernak. I don't want to hear that. It's not on them. The second goal, 11 seconds after the Dominic James goal. That's Gage Gonsalves giving a terrible effort on Kirby Dach. And Gage is absolutely lost. He's lost. I love the guy, but he looks like he doesn't even want to be out there. He's in a bad place right now. And then the last goal, Texier, the Lightning get caught on a change. Gonsalves doesn't get all the way across. And it's a goal that Vasilevsky should have stopped. There's so many bad parts of the game last night. JJ Moser, I love him again. He is not comfortable with the puck. Not one bit. Gage lost. I love Anthony Cirelli's battling. He battles his tail off. And that's one thing when you watch Anthony Cirelli and the work that guy's done. Let's not forget about Anthony Cirelli. Because all the work, and just watch 71. He is doing everything in his power to help this team. But he's not a scorer. He's a second-line center. And he's done a really good job against that top line 5-on-5. Hagel didn't have it last night. How can you fault the guy? How? How can you fault him? He's the only reason why you're still in this series. And you want to put this on Cooper. You want to put this on Julien Brisebois. But for the second straight postseason, Yanni Gourde, who when you ask the Tampa Bay Lightning, how does he fit into this team? And they tell you that he's going to be a third or fourth line player for the second postseason in a row. Yanni Gourde is a top 6 forward. Why? Let's harken back to last postseason. Do you guys remember what line 1 was in game 1 against the Panthers last year? It was Point, Kucherov, and Yanni Gourde. Last night, your second line was Cirelli, Gensel, and Gourde. Why? How come he's not on the third or fourth line? If he is on your top 2 lines, you're in trouble. I love Yanni's effort. It's not about effort with certain guys. They have to produce. It's not good enough. It is not good enough with this team right now. And I'm not done. I am not done, not by a long shot. I'm going to calm down here in the next 10 seconds because Dr. Carlos Rodriguez is going to join us. But at 1 o'clock, the Heat is coming back. And I'm not talking about Miami. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to decompress. And I'm going to bring in our good pal. He's going to make you feel a little bit better about life. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Doc, how are you, buddy?
How are you? Well, I don't know if I'm going to make you feel any better because I'm just as upset as you are about how they played last night.
Oh, Doc, man. Did you go to, you were there. Were you there?
Yep, I was there.
Oh, gosh, Doc. Tough to watch, huh, buddy?
It was. It was. I mean, Montreal looked like they had more speed, more aggressiveness. They were first to every puck. I mean, even the energy in the stadium didn't feel quite right. I don't know. It was just one of those nights that I walked into the stadium and it felt like the fans were down even from the beginning of it. And once they scored the first goal, the energy was taken out of the stadium.
Yeah, no doubt about it, buddy. All right, let's get into some injury talk. I wanted to ask you, we'll start with Mama Recher first, because I told everybody on the show yesterday, Mom fell in the backyard. I told her not to tune in until 12:30 until you came on, because I was going to be all hot and bothered to start the show. But my mom sustained an injury, and I sent you over some of the literature. What can you tell us about Mama Recher and when she's going to be back on her feet?
Well, she has a couple of fractures around her ankle. So, I mean, they're not bad injuries because they occurred in the lower part of the ankle area. So she's in a boot right now. She'll be in a boot. How old is Mama Recher?
I can't tell you. She's in her 60s.
So it does, as we get older, it does take a little longer for bones to heal. So she's looking closer to the 6 to 8 week mark for bones to heal well. So yeah, she's got to be used to walking in a boot for a little bit.
And everybody's like they're waiting on her, hand and foot, which is a good thing. She's got the scooter. Everybody's sending food. So she's being taken care of well. So thank you, Doc, for looking into that, buddy. I was like, Ma, everything's going to be okay. I mentioned it to Dr. Rob. We'll talk about it today on the show.
So she'll be fine. She just has to deal with it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Luckily, I got 3 brother and sisters-in-law. Everybody's going to take care of her. Let's start with some tennis. Right? Let's go there, Doc. We'll go with Carlos Alcaraz. And, it's funny, after years of watching Rafael Nadal dominate on the clay courts, now it's like, all right, well, here comes another Spaniard coming in looking like he's going to dominate there in Roland Garros. But, man, he's not going to be able to participate this year. It's pretty sad to see.
So he's dealing with a wrist injury. They haven't said specifically what kind of wrist injury he's dealing with. Hopefully, it's not what we call a TFCC injury, which is a cartilage injury here on the ulnar side or the small pinky side of your wrist. It's basically a cartilage complex that joins basically your wrist to your forearm. And that's commonly injured with tennis or any kind of racket type sports, or even in baseball. Hopefully, that's not the structure that's damaged, because that can be a long-term recovery time. Sometimes you may need surgery, but without surgery, you're still looking usually about 2 to 3 month recovery time. If you have surgery, then it's closer to about 5 to 6 months recovery time. Hopefully, it's mostly tendinitis that he's dealing with, maybe a little bit of overuse, maybe even a stress injury. You can get some stress fractures around the wrist bones. So if that's the case, that's closer to about a 4 to 5 week timeline. Certainly, we know this is going to be in that time frame because he's going to miss the French. He's not playing in Rome. He's avoiding the French Open, not defending the title. So I think it's more either a bad cartilage injury or maybe even a stress injury, which is giving him the longer time for recovery.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy for him to be able to announce it right now, right, Doc? Like for him to say now, knowing that he's the defending champ, know that if he was somewhat close to being healthy enough, he has a really good chance to win it. So, I mean, for him to announce it at this time tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does tell you that the injury is significant enough or worrisome enough that he doesn't want to risk at all missing more tournaments in the future this year. So let you know that, hey, I'm going to sit this one out because I got to be ready to go to the next 3. So so he's got to be there. So they're very mindful of that because any re-aggravation or re-injury to a significant injury like a TFCC could mean Wimbledon, could mean the US Open. Yeah. So he doesn't want to miss any of that.
Yeah, and what are those conversations like, Doc, when you have a high-level athlete like that? I mean, obviously, and this is just speculating on my part, you don't come to this decision lightly, do you? Right? When you have a guy that's a high-level athlete like this that is so in tune with his body, this has to be, and maybe last resort is too strong of a comment, but I'm sure he doesn't want to miss the French Open.
Right.
So this is probably a tough conversation to have for such a high profile guy like him.
Well, absolutely. The French Open is his best tournament. That's his specialty. It's clay courts. So it's a tough conversation, but I think Alcaraz understands it and understands the risk to the career, right? So I think the way you approach it is look at it long term. Short term, yeah, you may miss this French Open, but long term, you're going to be able to participate in the future Grand Slams. There's next year's French Open to participate in. If we get hurt right now or aggravate a significant injury and risk a major surgery, then you're risking a lot. There's a lot of Grand Slams you could miss. There's a lot of tournaments you could miss. You may not come back to the shape you were pre-injury, which is always a big risk. Because with say it's a TFCC injury, only about 50% of people that have a TFCC injury achieve full resolution. So it's a coin toss. So you do want to make sure that you take care of it, and you want to make sure that you do everything possible to make sure that it heals properly, because he's a young guy. He has a huge career ahead of him. So I think that's something that he really looks at it. It's like this is long term.
We forget about how young he is, right? Because he's been on the scene for the last couple of years and kind of snatched the mantle away from that, Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer era. Now it's like, all right, I'm here. And now it's time for me to be able to go and do my thing. Doc, what do we know about Gavin Lux? We're still waiting for him for the Rays. Do we have any update on when we could see him with the Rays?
I have not heard or read anything regarding any updates on him coming back. I think they're still looking at significant time off for recovery before they probably move him to the minors, to give him a stint there in the minors to see how he does.
What do we know? And watched a lot of NHL playoffs, a lot of NBA playoffs. Man, the Minnesota Timberwolves got dealt a double blow. They're up 3-1 in that series against Denver, and then boom, you lose Dante DiVincenzo. He tears his Achilles. We've seen that so much. And then now with Anthony Edwards, when do we know? When could we see him back? Do we see him back at all this postseason?
I think you will. Basically, he hyperextended his knee, and he has a hyperextension of the knee with associated bone bruising. Also, along with that, you usually also pinch or injure what we call the Hoffa's fat pad, which is a fatty tissue that lives right behind your patellar tendon. And that can get pinched and also injured when you have a knee hyperextension. He's week to week. He's definitely going to miss the next game against Denver. That's game 6. Recovery time, if he has a bone bruising with Hoffa syndrome, is usually about 3 to 4 weeks. Long term is 8 weeks. So if it's a bigger injury that they think, he could miss the rest of the postseason, especially if they get eliminated by Denver. But if he's doing okay, he may just miss this next game, maybe be ready for the next one. He may just be out for this series, and hopefully the Timberwolves do win this series, and then we see him in the next round. But it's one of those injuries that is just mostly time and dealing with the severity of it. It's usually at least a couple of weeks out. And then it depends on how he feels and how much pain he's dealing with. It could be longer into that 6 to 8 week time frame.
This is from my mom on my dad's YouTube account. Thank you, Doc, from Jay's mom. There you go. You're the best, Mom. Love you. I wanted to ask you about this because Franz Wagner didn't play last night for the Orlando Magic, and he's dealing with a strained calf muscle. And I had my buddy Brandon Kravitz on yesterday, who's part of the Orlando Magic radio team, and he said, Jay, there is significant concern, especially because of what just happened with Dante DiVincenzo and we saw with Jason Tatum, that this could lead to an Achilles injury for Franz Wagner. And we know there could be a correlation. I know we talked about this now, but now I'm asking you because there's teams like outwardly saying this, Doc. They're going half cause effect, boom, what we're scared about the Achilles injury. So is there really credence to that? And also, what is sitting one game going to do? Like him not playing last night when they're up 3-1 against the Pistons, does him staying off of it 3 days and getting more work on it 3 days, is that really going to mitigate any of the risk? Like, give me some of the insight on kind of that, cause and effect of calf to Achilles injury.
So, certainly, a calf strain means already that the posterior structures of your leg, like your calf, hamstrings, are possibly tight, right? And then the muscle basically was stretched out to a point where it tore, and it tears usually, well, when we call an eccentric contraction, muscles being stretched out while it's trying to fire. So that's usually when you plant your foot to go to take off, the calf gets stretched out, but it's got to fire for you to take off. So that motion usually what creates tears in both tendons and muscles. So the fact that he had a muscle tear, that lets you know things are already tight back there. Now he's got to recover from this injury. If we don't really work on loosening things up, creating some flexibility, potentially the worst injury is that now the Achilles will tear too. So there's some slight correlation because they're both posterior structures and the mechanism of injury is kind of the same for both. Now, as far as time off, it really depends on the grade of the injury. And this is where he gets an MRI done. And based on the MRI, you look at tissue damage. How much tissue was damaged? Is there a tendon involvement with the injury? And if you see that, then that's going to be longer term. Grade 0, which means we did the MRI, is mostly a mild strain. There's no tissue damage. There's no tears, no tendon involvement. It's about a week to get better. Grade 1, now you're seeing some tissue damage. It's usually about 2 weeks. Grade 3, which is usually now we're seeing a slight tendon involvement, more tissue damage, is more 7 to 8 weeks. The average return time for calf injuries is about 14 days. So he's going to be out, in my mind, at least a couple of weeks. So will we see him again against the series in Detroit? Depends on this, how long the series goes. If they're able to get through the series, we could see him in the next round. Again, if this is mostly a grade 0 to grade 1 strain, which are most commonly what we see, then it's usually about, as I said, a 2-week time off period. So we would see him back, but you still have to be very, very careful with re-injury because calf injuries, just like hamstrings, we talked about this before, they're very prone to re-injury, especially if you don't give it the adequate amount of time for it to heal.
Wow, that's rough, man. That's tough, especially come playoff time, because we know how the time frames might be a little bit different. Guys want to rush back, teams want to get him back in the lineup. Ooh, that is absolutely crazy. And I heard something last night from Kalijah Cansey, because he's hit that injury too with the Buccaneers. And what he does is he walks backwards around the practice field. Have you ever heard something like that about kind of like reversing it?
I had not heard that, but that kind of makes some sense because you're doing a little bit of stretching to the calf in that eccentric posture. So that creates some motion that makes the calf stretch while it's in eccentric motion. The great thing to do is going on a step and getting on the step and then getting all the way down and bringing your heel up and getting the heel down. That creates again that contraction, that eccentric contraction that strengthens and also stretches the calf. So those are a couple of exercises that you can do to make sure that you rehabilitate the injury well. But the key here is the right amount of time for rehabilitation to prevent re-injury. And as you said, with the playoff, the crunch time, the timeline gets all crunched up. So the big thing you got to be very, very leery of is return too soon, causing now a bigger injury, whether it's a bigger calf injury or an Achilles.
Yeah, it's funny that you said about those kind of like the step lifts that I've seen a lot more. I've seen with people trying to improve their speed, they've done things like that of trying to, just making sure that they're getting good lift and staying on the balls of their feet. I forgot hearing years ago, I was like, that's good for so many different things. My dad often does that sometimes. Like I'll see him like on the stairs and doing stuff like that. It's awesome, man. I wanted to ask you about Achraf Hakimi, the right back for Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, what an incredible game. I don't know if you saw it the other day. PSG and Bayern Munich.
Oh, yeah. That was an exciting soccer game, man. 5-4.
Unbelievable, man. Yeah. Unbelievable. 5-4. That's the game you want to show people that say soccer is boring. Go look at PSG and Bayern Munich, man. That's a 5-4 game. And they'll play again next week, too. Then you had Atletico Madrid and Arsenal yesterday with the 1-1 snooze fest. That was probably better than I thought it was. But Hakimi, he is a guy. I mean, it's pretty wild that PSG, they have a great midfield, but they have arguably the best left back in the world in Nuno Mendes, and then Achraf Hakimi, the right back. But Hakimi looks like he's going to be out for a while. What do we know about him? It doesn't look good, does it?
So he had a thigh hamstring injury. PSG says he's going to be out for a few weeks, so he's definitely going to be out for the second leg of that beautiful series that they're having, beautiful game. The fact that they're saying a few weeks makes me think that it's more on the mild side of a calf strain, which is usually that 2 to 4 week time frame. I mean, PSG, as far as the league goes, they already got the French league in hand, so really the Champions League is what they're going to concentrate on. So what I'm looking at is he's going to miss Champions League, and then they'll probably rest him also for the most of the season that is left right now. And then if they make it through in next game against Bayern Munich, then see him in the final. So my thinking is that they'll try to see if they make it through. If they make it through, they'll rest him, and then just have him playing the final of the Champions League. But I'm thinking, looking at the wording that they say, he's just going to be out just for a few weeks. That is more on the mild side of the hamstring and thigh injuries, which is usually about 2 to 3 week recovery time.
All right, so it's you just never know at this time. You don't want to lose a guy like that in such a hotly contested game. We're dealing with so many kids now, Doc, and all these arm injuries, and I'm gonna come over there. I was thinking about it the other day. We probably got to do a whole thing on arm care for kids. I think that would be huge. I think we get a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Be able to get on board with that. Garrett Crochet is a guy that's obviously a big pitcher for the Red Sox, and with him, and you can tell sometimes something's off with pitchers, right? With the velocity going down, or just like the inaccuracy for a guy that's usually right around the plate. Yeah. And it seems like there's some people that are drawing that correlation of, man, this is usually a pretty sharp pitcher, and he's not looked sharp early on this year. What do we know about his injury?
So he's dealing with a shoulder inflammation, and we've talked about some shoulder stuff before. So very likely this is what we call shoulder impingement. Which is basically what we call the sandwich in the shoulder, whether it's tendinitis or bursitis or rotator cuff inflammation. It's kind of all dumped into that same impingement syndrome bucket. And most of this is you deal with and recover with some rest, rehabilitation, rotator cuff strengthening, some anti-inflammatory medication, ice. In some cases, and we talked about this before, you can get injections done with cortisone just to calm things down even more, to help you deal the discomfort, which makes the rehabilitation process easier and better. But the key that you mentioned is, and we talked about this also in Little League with shoulder issues, velocity and accuracy. Yeah. When those things starts going out of the norm, that means there's something going on, because that usually means the strength or the motion or something is going on in the arm that's causing those two things to go awry. So that's usually a good sign when you look at pitchers. If their accuracy and speed are going away, there's something going on. They may not be telling you there's something going on, but there's definitely something going on at that point. And in this case, with the impingement, is rest time. So he's going to be in the 15-day DL, and then we'll see how he does. He may go through a rehab stint, maybe some bullpen sessions before we see him back on the mound. So right now I'm looking at least the 2 weeks, if not maybe 3 to 4 week recovery time.
Doc, one of my players has, and again, now I'm like, so keeping an eye on everything in here, right? With inside of the elbow here. But I have a young player on our team, Will, very athletic kid, does a lot of different sports, and he's having some issues on the backside of the shoulder, almost on the backside.
Right.
It's not as egregious as, every time I see a kid go, hey, it hurts here, I'm like, stop throwing, start running, start doing something else. But what I know, it's tough to kind of, speculate what it is, but what could it be back here if he's dealing with some things? Because it's bothering him when he's throwing and when he's hitting. And we know how some of these injuries are weird sometimes, or the kid could swing 100 times, no big deal, but the throwing is what bothers him. He's having some pain kind of on the back side of the shoulder, almost on the upper right side of the back for a right-handed thrower. What could that possibly be?
So a very common condition and I see this a lot in throwers, overhead athletes, in tennis players, is called scapular dyskinesis. So the scapula, which is the flat plate sitting basically on your back, right? That flat plate on your back is actually part of your shoulder, and it's very important for shoulder motion because it's linked to your clavicle, it's linked to the acromion, which is kind of the roof of the shoulder. So that bone also has to move in coordination with the shoulder for the shoulder to move appropriately. And what I've seen quite often, and it goes undiagnosed and recognized quite frequently unless you're looking for it. And those of us who are training sports medicine are more keen to look for this.
Yeah.
The scapula is not moving the way it should. So you're losing coordination of scapular motion in coordination with shoulder motion, which then causes pain and discomfort, especially in that area where the scapula meets your back. That's usually a condition that with rehabilitation and retraining of the muscles, you can actually get relief from it. It does take time. It's a condition that can take usually 2 to 3 months of retraining the muscles to be able to move the right way to relieve the pressure and relieve the pain that you're having in that upper area of the back.
Wow. So it could be a while then. So is there anything, is it one of those things where you can injure yourself worse? Or is it just one of those things where you can kind of navigate through the pain and then something you do in the off season? Like that's, that's
Yeah, I
obviously.
mean, if it is scapular dyskinesis, it's mostly going to cause discomfort and pain. Now it could worsen because it can spread to the shoulder area and get impingement. Because if the scapula is not clearing out of the way, then you get that sandwich motion again in the shoulder. So potentially the aggravation is that now you can start having shoulder issues because of the scapular issues that you're having in the back. So that's potentially the complication from it. Otherwise, it's mostly discomfort and pain in the back of the shoulder. Now, if it's someone like a pitcher, they're going to have accuracy and speed issues because if the scapula is not moving in the right plane or the right way, the shoulder is not also moving and releasing in the right way. So there are going to be some complications there from a game perspective. But from a injury perspective, from the condition itself, it's a fairly benign condition, other than the discomfort it causes. And then mostly you just got to do rehabilitation. And again, retraining those muscles and retraining the shoulder to move the right way and for the scapula to release the right way is something that can take some time.
Is that something where throwing, hitting, running, like which can you do one of the three, two of the three, three of the three, zero of the three? Like which ones? Because we talked about sometimes with the elbow injuries, the guys can still hit. So if somebody does have something like that, like our guy Will, who he wants to play so bad this weekend, he's like, I'll run. I'll just be a courtesy runner. Like, does he run the risk of hurting himself more if he's, you know what I mean, just running? Could he play a different position and, take some of the stress off the arm? Can he at least still hit? Like, what would you advise him to do in a situation like that?
I mean, running shouldn't be an issue because, I mean, most of the running, your arms off to the side. Now, he may have some pain if he decides to slide head first and he's putting his hands out. But there's really going to be any aggravation or problems or any issues or complications that would occur from running. Pitching is just going to cause discomfort. It's going to cause pain. Batting is the same thing. It's just going to be dealing with the discomfort and the pain from it, but there's really not going to be any significant injuries that would occur if he decides to bat or throw. It's just that the strength may not be there, the accuracy may not be there, and then when he's batting, he's just going to be in some discomfort when he's swinging the bat.
Doc, before I let you go, I want to ask you about this Bo Nix injury, man. This is kind of crazy with the Denver Broncos starting quarterback. It's just, I don't like hearing things like this. I like when it's clean. We know what's wrong. We can fix it and you can move on. But you start hearing some of these different stories, man. You feel bad for the kid because he's got his whole career ahead of him.
So we talked about this back in January. So he fractured his ankle, had surgery on it. We thought recovery time is going to be about 12 weeks, which puts him right now in that time frame. But now I guess he just had surgery again in the ankle to clean it up. So what I'm thinking is either he's doing through rehab, right? He's going through the rehabilitation process. Maybe he started experiencing some sort of pain or discomfort. The question becomes, is there a loose piece of bone or a loose piece of cartilage that they saw in an MRI? Or did some of the hardware become loose and they had to go in again and tighten things up or remove some of the hardware that was there? So he had some sort of cleanup procedure. My thinking is that there was some loose piece of cartilage or a loose piece of bone that developed as he's doing his rehabilitation process, developed some discomfort, swelling. They looked at it and they said, we got to go in there, just clean things up. But usually the recovery from that is going to be short as long as there wasn't a lot of things removed. So about a couple of weeks, which would still put him on track to do okay and be there for the training and be there for quarterback training and everything else that comes on at the beginning of the season. So I don't think it's going to really affect the timeline of him returning to spring work.
All right, there we go. You heard it right there from the source, the one and only Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, our Evara Health Injury Report, crushing it every Thursday at 12:30 here on the show. Doc, I appreciate you from bringing my internal temperature down. It's probably going to go back up in about 5 minutes or so, but thank you for the update from my mom. I know she feels a lot better about everything, and have a wonderful weekend, my friend. Hopefully we can
Thank
see
you.
each other on Sunday if the Lightning can force a Game 7.
I
You're the
I
best.
certainly hope so.
Thanks, Doc. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right. See it. The great Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. He makes you feel a lot better. Not a little bit better. He always makes you feel a lot better about literally everything in my life. The guy's the man. Hold on, guys. Let me make sure I'm getting this right on the talk. I'm on the talk, baby. Guys, if you're on the talk, make sure you're sharing my live on your feed. Deep breath. What was it? From Bad Boys. Ooh, guys, there's the link if you guys want to get some swag. The Recher podcast. Make sure you get some shirts. That's the only way we're going to keep this thing going, man. The only way. There's the link here, right there in the chat. Here's what the welcome to Tampa Bay. Bagels. Every little bit helps, guys. Please, every super chat, every like, every share. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. You know I'm everywhere. TikTok. Share this. Kill that like button. Guys, order your shirts today. Man, I'm still like, my heart is still pounding right now from that conversation. Not even the conversation I was saying before, Doc. Get your shirts today, boys and girls. All right, real quick before we get back into the Lightning stuff, because I'm not done. A shout out to Honest Hammer, our guy, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all your residential and commercial needs. 813-244-0956. You know our guy, Hammer. He's here. He's always watching the show. He's been a supporter since the beginning. And listen, this is the guy that you want to support. He's an award winner. He's a Team Tampa Bay guy, a USF grad. He's the best. 813-244-0956. Go to the website, man. They always got new pictures up there. TheHonestHammer.com. Shoot him an email, TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. Get you a discount just because you mentioned that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast. He's always got a smile on his face. You want to be able to support local, right? I say that a lot. Support local. Hammer is one of those guys, man. Support him. You see him here right in the chat. He's here. He's supporting here on the show, even not just as a sponsor, but as a viewer as well, and also on TikTok. These are the people that you want to support. You want to support me? Support Honest Hammer as well. 813-244-0956 for all your residential and commercial needs. My guy Dan with the $50 super chat. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much, brother. You are the best. Every single super chat, every single shirt purchase and like and share. I love you, Dan. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you so very, very much. You are the man. Dan's the man, of course, the best. And then also Evara Health, the Evara Health Injury Report, every single Thursday with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. You are the man. You heard us talk to him. Doc's the man. He's the best. He is the best. everhealth.org. Head on over there. 17 different locations in Pinellas County. They're always trying to help us out. They're always trying to do something. Yeah. I'm still flummoxed. But I love Evara Health. Again, for all your needs that you need healthcare wise from the cradle to the grave, they can help you out. They are the best. everhealth.org. All right. One second. Breathe with me, everybody. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Yeah, no Nick Paul last night. All right. And honestly, right now, guys, like I don't really care what anybody else has to say. I don't. I really don't care. It that don't matter to me. I'm more focused on like what is going on with this team. And all right, I have here we go. Who haven't I mentioned yet? We'll go down the line. Corey Perry. This is the sheet for the Lightning. We're going to go in number order from 10 to 93. I'm going to give you my thoughts on everybody last night. If you missed the flamethrower that I had in the beginning of the show, it's going to be up on the page. I ain't done. Even if you caught it earlier, you're going to catch it again right now. Number 10, Corey Perry. Not good. Slow. Turning the puck over in the middle of the ice. Losing puck battles against the boards. I know he's going to be in the lineup, but he's just not. Don't tell me that there's guys that bring experience and bring maturity, and then you come out and you play like you did last night. Because then that is a direct issue and a problem. And I'm looking at the leaders of this team. Corey Perry is one of them. He only played 655 last night, and I think it was 655, maybe too much. Connor Geekie, listen, you're going to look at Connor Geekie and you're going to say, man, he did some good things offensively. He also did some really bad things defensively. That's the point. You can't sometimes fans don't know what they're looking at. You don't know what you're looking at. Not good for Connor Geekie last night. Didn't know he was playing until an hour before the game. It is what it is. Look at my man, Nelly. At least we made the playoffs. Just kidding, bro. Love you, Nelly. This is why it's more than just you putting the puck in the back of the net. Dominic James. I love Dominic James. I thought he was the best player on the ice last night. I really did. And somehow he was a -1, and I think a lot of that had to do with Gage Gonsalves more than Dominic James. But Dominic James, everybody wants to give him a pass. 0 for 8 last night in the faceoff circle. 0 for 8. What? Another person that doesn't get their feet held to the fire enough in this city, and maybe it's because people don't know enough about it, but Jeff Halpern has been here a long time. Do you know what he works on? Do you know what he focuses on? Faceoffs and power play. Raise your hand if you're happy with this team's faceoffs and power play. Go ahead. Anyone? Anyone. This team still runs the same power play as if Steven Stamkos was on this team. As if Oliver Bjorkstrand plays on the side over there and you can shoot off the pass. If you don't do that, why is your power play set up that way? No player movement. You're relying solely on puck movement, yet you only have one guy that can shoot the puck when the defenseman has it on the one time, and that's Nikita Kucherov. And you know he ain't shooting half the time anyway. Pass, 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 pass. Pass, 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 pass. That's how crazy this power play has gotten me. I just did pass, pass, pass in the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. You're driving everybody crazy. Shoot the puck. You had 40 shots last night, and it still wasn't enough. Think about that. You shot the puck 40 times, and you should have had probably 60. Pass, 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 pass. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God. Pass, 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 pass. Pass again. Just pass again. And everybody gets the pass, and then they wait for somebody to go, and then they shoot the puck. Either they miss the net or they shoot it, or they don't even shoot the puck. Braden Point. What is going on? This is a guy that was one of the first 6 skaters for Team Canada. Invisible. I don't want to hear he's not 100%. He's not feeling good. Nobody's 100%. Nobody. Well, maybe they're dealing with some sickness. Nick Pohl left the game. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the excuses. Every team in the NHL playoffs, at the end of it, their injury list looks like a receipt from CVS. I don't want to hear it. Braden Point needs to look in the mirror because it's not good enough. Somebody asked me last night, what happens if the Lightning go trade Connor McDavid? And I said, well, you do that, you're trading Braden Point. Just so you know. I don't think it's happening, but that's where we're at. The regular season, no good. Playoffs, worse. Oliver Bjorkstrand, the fact that that guy was one of your best players last night tells you all that you need to know. He played 14 minutes. He probably should have played more. He had a couple of opportunities. That backhand he had coming down the left wing to hit the crossbar, that was legit. But there was also a chance he had in the front of the net in the second period where it just looked like his hands were made of stone. Max Crozier, I thought he played a decent game last night. He just got it. The fact that he had as many chances as he did and he only had one shot on goal, he's got to shoot the puck more. He's got to shoot the puck more. And that's, again, you look at him and Emil Lilleberg, -2. Guys, don't just look at the plus minus. You can't. That's the problem with our city when it comes to hockey. If they're giving up goals, it's only because of the defense and Andrei Vasilevsky. You defend with 5 and you attack with 5. I've already said Andrei Vasilevsky wasn't good enough. But when I look at some of the issues for this team, it's because they don't defend as a unit. If you're working 2-on-3 down low, that has nothing to do with Ryan McDonagh, Eric Chernak, Max Crozier, Emil Lilleberg. It has nothing to do with them. Your forwards aren't getting back. You have to understand. Ryan McDonagh taking that penalty in the middle, ridiculous, in front of the net. What are we doing? This is supposed to be the more talented team, the more experienced team. And we got Gensel taking penalties. We got Cirelli taking penalties. We've got Radish taking penalties. We've got McDonagh taking penalties. Yeah, Geeky will take a penalty or two, but I mean, these are some of the most experienced guys on the mother-freaking team. What are we doing? What is this team doing? Gergenson's persona non grata, barely noticed him. He had a couple of clears on the PK, which was good. Again, Yanni gets the assist. He was a +1. But if he's playing in your top 6, it's just not going to work, guys. It's not going to work. He needs to be a bottom 6 guy. And I don't know why they went away from Yanni playing with Gergensons. I don't understand why last night when you saw Bjorkstrand playing better, why he didn't go into the top 6. I don't know why they didn't go to James, Gonsalves, and Gensel. Like, I don't understand why John Cooper didn't put his lines in the blender last night, especially when the team was stale. And don't say, wow, they had 40 shots, because 17 came in the third, and a bunch of them came at the end when you're shooting the puck almost reluctantly. It's almost like every single time they shoot the puck, they lose a brain cell, or they lose a red blood cell, or they cut off a toe. It's almost like this team is allergic to shooting the puck. I can't get mad at Brandon Hagel. 5 shots last night. He didn't have his best game, but certainly wasn't the worst guy out there, and you can't put anything on him. Darren Radish had 6 shots on goal. He played 25 minutes. He was a +1. But again, I want to see more. I want to see more. You can't just shoot the puck when it's on a one-timer. I would love to see Darren Radish step into the zone and just fire a slap shot. He had one move last night where he hit the post in the third. I don't understand why he doesn't do that more. Every single shot comes off of a one-timer. It has to come. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm looking at the stats from last night. You literally got gifted a delay of game penalty by Jake Evans and a delay of game penalty from Lane Hudson, because you were kind of putting the pressure on. And then your power play looks abysmal. Terrible. Gensel scores, James scores on pretty much the exact same play. 2-on-1, coming down the right wing. You score the goal. Everybody goes crazy. The wild thing about the game last night was that Dobish didn't even play that well. He really didn't. He made 32 saves, but he gave up a lot of rebounds. 38 saves. He gave up a lot of rebounds. There wasn't many 10-bell saves. There wasn't much sustained pressure. And the Lightning lose. I don't really have much of an issue with Lilleberg and Chernak. Moser's not taking care of the puck. I told you about Gage Gonsalves. He looks lost out there. Nikita Kucherov, if he's one of the guys wearing an A on your jersey, are you happy with his leadership when things aren't going well? I dare somebody to ask that question. Nobody will. Nobody will. Nobody will even freaking talk about it. Because when you talk about the leadership of Nikita Kucherov, all anybody wants to talk about is how hard he works. That's it. Nobody wants to talk about how he plays when things aren't going well. Nobody wants to talk about how he makes other people feel better when they're not playing well. Nobody wants to talk about his account. Let me ask you a question. How important to you is accountability in your life? Probably pretty big, being accountable. And I said this to Phil Esposito the other day. And I said, what's the identity of this Lightning team? He goes, that doesn't matter. I go, okay, what made your team special? You won the cups there in Boston with Bobby Orr. He goes, we made sure that everybody played the game, and we made sure that everybody was locked in and dialed in. And I go, sounds like your identity is accountability. Do you know what that felt like? And you guys know how much I love that man. But do you know what that conversation was like when I said something to a guy that was one of the greatest hockey players of all time? And in his 80s, we spoke about the identity of his Boston Bruins team. He didn't even know they had. And he was like, I guess you're right. Accountability. That's what that Boston Bruins team had. And Phil was one of the guys that led the way. Who's accountable on the Tampa Bay Lightning? Tell me. Because you know when accountability comes in? When things aren't going well. I'm sick and tired of hearing Corey Perry, who played 5 minutes, discuss what went wrong with the team. How the hell does he know? And that's not a smack and a slight to him, but he spent just 5 more minutes on the ice last night than I did. He shouldn't have to talk for the team. Remember this kind of stuff. When we talk about Kucherov and people say you're a hater and people want to defend him to the high heavens, does he lead the way when you can use a lot of words to describe Nikita Kucherov? Is accountable one of them? Answer the question. Is accountable one of them? His piss poor attitude, his awful body language, and he can come back and score a hat trick in game 6. Fine. Fine. Does it make anything that I just said untrue? No. You are not going to win this series if Nikita Kucherov cannot score and he's going to turn the puck over. I am not one of those people that looks at certain athletes that play the game at a different speed and say they're not trying. You hear that a lot when it comes to Latin ball players in baseball. Nikita Kucherov is a guy that operates at a completely different speed than everybody else. I understand that. He's not like a McKinnon and a McDavid, where they have to have that bull in a China shop mentality and just be absolutely crazy to be successful. I get that he has to slow the game down to be successful. But defensively, if you're not getting back, if you're not back checking, if you turn the puck over and your first reaction is instead of getting back, I have no sympathy for that whatsoever. What's going to be the narrative Friday night if this team loses game 6? I'll be sitting right here, doing exactly what I did today, telling you everything that went wrong, not leaving any stone unturned. Nobody's safe. It's not personal. I said this on the show yesterday. Yes, this is a podcast. Check me out, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Every day at noon, talking Tampa Bay Lightning sport, Tampa Bay sports and beyond. Shout out to everybody watching on TikTok. Don't confuse my emotion and my passion with being personal. It's not personal. Just because I care and I want better from the team that I cover closer than any team here in the Tampa Bay area, it's not personal. So when I'm more energetic and and passionate about certain things that get me pissed off, doesn't mean I take it to heart. David Terry, Cooch is like a little effing kid pounding when something doesn't go its way. It's getting old to watch. It is. It's getting old to watch. And what's going to happen? Are we going to lose our access to Nikita Kucherov? He doesn't speak to us anyway. He doesn't care about us anyway. The other day, John Romano tried to pull him over to the side and was like, hey, can I ask you a quick question after the game? And he just blew him off. I've defended Nikita Kucherov so many times. I've defended Nikita Kucherov all across North America. Regular season games, postseason games, all-star games. And they talk about the brilliance. And it's hard to focus on the brilliance every single year when you see his attitude when things go wrong. And if you don't think that that's a problem, you're blind. And I'm kind of saving my final fastball for when this series is over. Because I'm not going to cut this part up and I'm not going to go crazy when it comes to the Nikita Kucherov thing. I know some people are like, you're already going crazy. I think my dad's going crazy. But I'll save that for Friday night. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if I'll be I don't know if they win on Friday and then lose on Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to have a show on Monday. Because I'll be damned if I show up on Monday and talk about a Lightning loss at home in Game 7 on Monday's show on my birthday. I don't know if I'm doing that. I do not know if I'm doing that. I might, but I don't know if I am. This is a team that's 2-9 in their last 11 home games in the playoffs. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. I'll say this again. Guys, it's one thing if you get beat by a team that's really good. It's one thing if they're imposing their will on you. If you lose to a team like Carolina, we know how good they are defensively. They're swarming. We know what makes them good, right? That's why when you look back at the Colorado series, you think about it like, man, would it have been different if Braden Point was healthy? You lost to McKinnon and McCarr, right? Like, so it's just, it is what it is. But when you lose a series like this, if you do end up losing it, you held their top line in check 5-on-5. Going into the series, you had the better top end players, better D-core. Remember, Noah Dobson's out. Better goalie, better coach. What is it? What is it? It's not some magic recipe. That's the thing that pisses me off more than anything about this loss and about this series. It has nothing to do with talent. Nothing. Attitude and effort is a decision. What kind of effort are you going to show when you step onto the ice? I see more effort from John Franzone and Greg Wolf and Sonia Bryson Kirksey and the TV crew and the radio crew and the fans. And I'm not putting one thing on the fans. I'm not trying to hear any of that shit. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, I retweeted some Frenchie from north of the border that's talking about like, oh, it was so quiet last night. It was like a Tuesday in the Bell Center after their first goal. Yeah, numbnuts. After Dominic James scored, Kirby Dach scored 11 seconds later. In the middle of Paul Porter announcing the goal, the Canadians scored. You think the fans are going to... So what happens? They cheer and they continue to cheer even after giving up the goal. And now it's like, oh, these fans are stupid. These fans are stupid. They're still cheering. They don't even know that they just gave up a goal. What are we talking about? One of the wackest and lamest things in sports is these people in Canada that look down their noses at these non-traditional hockey markets. Oh, well, we're better than you, and it's your national sport. It's your national sport, yet nobody in your country's won since 93. You didn't win the gold medal. And you were wearing long white socks with your outfit yesterday. So fashion faux pas number one, I'm not listening to you at all. Get real. Get real. Unbelievable. You want to talk smack about the freaking Tampa Bay Lightning's fans because they weren't cheering after they gave up a goal? What are you, nuts? That building was rocking before the game. That building was rocking after the first goal. That building was rocking after the second goal. That building was rocking after the freaking goal scored by J.J. Moser in overtime in game 2. You want fans to be cheering when your team's playing like crap? What kind of sense does that make? What are you, drunk? The fans are there to have a good time. Don't get me wrong. But to act like the building isn't locked into the game because the team obviously isn't playing well and they're passing and passing and passing and passing. It's frustrating. When you're in the playoffs for the 4th straight year and the team's playing like that again, how do you not look at it and go, here we go again? You know where the building was rocking back in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 when this team went to 3 Stanley Cup finals? You should know. You should know because the Lightning beat the Canadians for that second cup. And you're lucky you only had to beat teams north of the border. You only had to worry about 5 teams. I'm not trying to hear any of that shit. Get out of here. Crazy. You're crazy. You think that's going to grow? And I remember being at the All-Star game years ago in Toronto. This is so great for the game. McDavid's MVP. Matthews' teams won. No, nobody even gave a crap. What are you growing the game? When I went to that All-Star game in Toronto, you know how many other jerseys I saw? That's one of the best parts about the All-Star game. Seeing people come from all over the world, seeing all the different jerseys, new and old. Wow, that's awesome. You know what I saw in Toronto? Tavares jerseys, Matt Sundin jerseys, Ty Domi jerseys, Toronto jerseys. He didn't grow the game. Shit is wild. Front office, coaches, players. I'm not putting this on the fans. Stop. And if you're bitching and moaning about Canadian fans being, who gives a crap? So dumb. Again, I'm not one of those people that's ever going to bitch and moan about opposing fans being in our barns. We live in Tampa. We live in Tampa, Florida. What do you think is going to happen? You think they want to hang out in Montreal? You think they want to hang out in these other cities around North America? They're going to come here. They're going to spend their money here and support our businesses. I got no issues whatsoever. You know how you shut them up? It's not keeping them out of the building. It's your home team winning. Your home team needs to win. That building was just as loud last night after the Lightning scored those goals. And nobody was like, wow, we can't really hear them because the Montreal fans here. No. Do I have any faith that this Tampa Bay Lightning team is going to win Game 6 or Game 7? No. Nope. I don't. And I'm a pretty optimistic guy. But again, what do I owe? Why? I got to send this link to Ed. I never send him the link. Sorry, Ed. Shit is just crazy, man. Shit's crazy. It really is. I mean, you think about it too, of like what the future is going to look like. You know, I said this last year, and Steve Erznik was kind of giving me some grief. Like, oh, it's the, I said last year that it was like the end of an era for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was like, end of an era, huh? And I go, yeah, I think it should be. I think changes need to be made. And now you look at this team, does it feel like things have really changed? It looks like the same old thing. Same old thing. And for all the talk about, you got to be tougher, you got to play more physical. Okay, they did that. They brought in Scott Sabrin, and then he almost blew game 2. And don't tell me, oh, look at the hit on Crozier. It's one hit. That's not playing more physical. That's just being a better hockey player. All this talk about toughness and physicality, it's about heart and brains. I didn't see it last night. Again, I walked out of that building last night. I didn't even say goodbye to anybody. And I am not an Irish goodbye guy. I love saying goodbye to my peeps. But I was at a loss for words. Not today, but yesterday. Because I asked John Cooper after morning skate yesterday, Coop, what do you need to see in the beginning of the game that tells you that your team's playing the right way? And he's like, I'm not going to answer that. All right. Thanks. It gets a little frustrating sometimes that you cover a guy all year long and then he doesn't dignify giving you an answer. But national media guy asked it, and it's like, hey, he's going to use his name and he's going to make them feel like $1 million. That gets a little old. Really does. And I asked him again last night, and it's like, well, this and that. I'm just like, whatever, dude. I don't really like the comments. I don't like the responses from John Cooper, and nobody's absolved from blame last night. Nobody. Literally nobody. Except this guy. Eduardo. You at the airport?
No, Jay, I'm at the food court at International Plaza.
Really? Look at you, bud.
So the team had access at the airport before they flew out at around 11:30. So went to do that, trying to write right now. I'm deciding what are these lovely options I should partake in, and before I fly out to Montreal at around 4 o'clock. So you got me here, Jay. Let's talk. I know you're a little down. You're a little down today, man. I see.
No, not down. Not down's not the right word.
A little down today. So listen, here I'm gonna give you something that's gonna cheer you up, because this is what I do. I come here and I cheer you up. Is that this today, and obviously as you can see, I'm spending at the food court at International Plaza. Is my 15th wedding anniversary. So this one, shout out to, segment producer Shannon and Cena, and yeah. So there you go. We're gonna trying to put a smile on your face, Jay. This isn't the end of the world, But it's a big meteor has hit Tampa, but it's not the end of the world.
You know what? There's not many things you could have said to make me happy, but that's actually one of them, because you know how much I love Shannon. Man, boy, Shenardo, is that the mix between you guys, Shenardo?
Yes, it's a mix.
Yeah, Shenardo.
Shannon, Eduardo. We actually have a plaque in Ybor on 7th Street. We had a reception at the Columbia. There's like one of those tiles that you can personalize, and it says Shenardo and our wedding date on it, on one of those tiles. So yeah, I'll give a free prize to anyone who goes out and finds it and takes a picture and sends it to @EddieInTheYard on Twitter. And I'll give something good. I don't know what I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna.
Why are you in a good mood?
I got 60 more minutes of hockey at least 60 more minutes. And that Jay, that is a gift. That is a gift.
Why are you so optimistic today?
I don't say I'm optimistic. I'm realistic. I think. Listen, I've been one to say the whole year, probably since they came out of the break, but this really wasn't the same team as the one that we saw during the, they were bad to start, they got better, they got really, really good, and then, since that 21-1 stretch, they really haven't been a great team. And we've seen a lot of the same things that we saw in Game 5, falling behind, having to chase the game, some dumb penalties / decisions on the ice, coverages, stuff like that, reads. And it comes back and kills you eventually. Brandon Hagel said it today before they took off, is that eventually it's going to come back and bite you. But I'll be honest. The one good thing about this Lightning team, whether it's right now or what, as it moves forward, is it has a guy like Brandon Hagel as one of its leaders. And he said today that we're going to find out a lot about our team and who we are as individuals and who we are as a team and what happens tomorrow night in Montreal. So, the margins have been narrow. We know that. You could look at everything and dream up every stat to look at it one way or the other. But at the end of the day, a really good team is going to go home. And
are they?
Are they really good? I think they're a really good team. Are they a good enough? Are they a good enough?
I can't agree with you, bro. I can't agree.
Are they a good enough team? Now, here's the thing: the bar.
That's my thing. Like, what's the point? Is like every single thing, and again, I'm not trying to be combative here, but it's just like, every single year we get to this. Well, if they lose, well, it's hard to make the playoffs. Like, at what point is enough, Ed? Like, at what point does either us in the media or the fans, like, at what point do we say, you got a bunch of first ballot Hall of Famers, you have a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach, and you can't tell me that you're playing the Florida Panthers here? Everybody kept saying, well, you lost the eventual champs. And I'm like, well, your goal is to win the cup, so you need to beat anybody. Now you're losing to a team where you have the advantage in goal, the advantage of the coaching staff. They're missing their best offensive defenseman. You're doing a good job 5-on-5 defensively. And now you lost 2 of the 3 games at home. Like, at what point do we stop looking for silver linings for a team that is on the verge of losing for the 4th time in a row in the first round? Like, I feel like we're not grading them on the appropriate scale. This is a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, not a team that should be happy that they made the playoffs.
Well, first off, you're not there yet, right? Like, you're not there.
I'm close.
No, right, no, but
you're right about that, but I'm close.
They're not there yet, And yes, like, am I writing a story that says, like, this team is dangerously close to having to answer a whole lot of questions about their future? Absolutely. But they're not there yet. And if anything we know about the Lightning is they never make anything easy for themselves. And I do expect them to play well tomorrow in Montreal. Now, going into a potential Game 7, who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, you're not there yet. And like you said, like, what things we learned through the Cup runs, I mean, when was it, 2022? When they had to go into Toronto and win a Game 7, Nick Paul scores a couple goals. That picture's in the hallway, of the dressing room and the bench. Now, I think this team has to realize that those pictures are getting old. Those pictures are the past, and that this team really needs to find its own narrative. And needs to find its own identity and its own winning way. And I think tomorrow in Montreal is that opportunity. Now, if they go out there and they lay an egg again, 2 games in a row, 1 at home, listen, they blew it last night. There's no doubt about it. They blew it, But if they still got a chance. Like, again, the only thing you're guaranteed at this point is 60 more minutes of hockey. And if they lay an egg tomorrow, they're fair game, But these series are so tight, and these series are so, like, it's a margin of just. And have they played well? No. But have the Canadians played perfect? No. But we're just not there yet, I don't think. Now, having said it, it happens real fast. Everything in hockey happens real fast. But it's frustrating. Those guys are frustrated about it. But, the way these games have played out, they've all been great games, right? I expect another one tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm with you as far as, like, finding out what the team's identity is. But, like, if they win that game because Brandon Hagel takes over, like, I don't know if I'm really learning anything about the team. Because
I don't worry about him either. We know who we need to see more.
Yeah. But I mean,
we know.
What are we? Like, that's the thing. It's like, again, Braden Point, abysmal in the regular season. I don't care if he's not 100% or not. It's the playoffs. Nobody's 100%. And then Nikita Kucherov, he's one of the biggest enigmas in sports. You can't fault him for his offensive talent. He wears an A on his sweater because of his work ethic. But Ed, when his attitude is as poor as it is last night, and his body language is as bad as it is last night, I don't know if there's a guy that's less accountable in Tampa Bay sports than him, because there's no chance in hell he's going to speak after a bad game. There's no chance that he's going to do whatever it takes to contribute in a way that's not offensively. And it's just, how does that not permeate through the rest of your team? I mean, we can be like, well, we hope that he does something good offensively, or we hope that he can, score a goal. And I understand he's never going to be a Selke finalist, but it's like, if you're not part of the problem sometimes, or if you're not part of the solution, sometimes you're part of the problem. And there's more and more people bringing up the fact that his body language is terrible. And it's just like, how do you not bring that into the equation when you have a discussion about Nikita Kucherov when he only has one goal in 19, 20 playoff games?
Well, Jay, this is that I don't think Nikita Kucherov's body language changed all of a sudden in game one.
No, of course not.
I think that there's a bigger spotlight on this series because of a lot of different reasons, and that body language is being noticed and critiqued a lot more. Like, we've seen this. Like, that's Kucherov, and yes, is he an enigma? Absolutely. Like, I do wonder, one of the big questions I do wonder, like you mentioned, is how much, that pervades into the room, because you have seen a change in leadership. You have seen, he came up basically at the altar of Steven Stamkos, right? Stammer isn't around anymore. Victor hasn't been, a on ice contributing member of this team in, 2 months. But his body language is by no means new. We've seen worse. We've seen this guy slam sticks up against and break them two in game 45 against Columbus. So that's like, I guess that's the thing. It's like, okay, but like we've seen that before. That's nothing new. I think we're kind of just looking for that to be like, okay, his body language is bad. His body language has always been bad. His body language is bad when he has a 5-point night and he gets frustrated by a power play not scoring one goal when they're 3 for 5 on the night. Like his body, like that's. I do think that there is something here that's like in the playoffs, and especially this series, because it's not just Montreal, it's Canada, it's 2 different TV networks that are 2 different languages. Everyone's seeing it, and like I said, is it bad? Yes. Do I think it affects people on the team? Yes. Do I think it scares some players? Yes. You can't tell me that Oliver Bjorkstrand can feel welcome on a power play for an entire season when every pass that goes to him and he fumbles it, he sees Kuch go.
So that's my point, Ed. Like, it's not. I'm not saying that it's new, but context and when things happen are everything, right? You're just talking about your wife. Like, if you guys are having a great day, you have a disagreement about something, fine, you move on. But if you guys are at each other's wits and at each other's throats and you're in a bad moment, and a small disagreement can turn into a big thing. So,
well, Shan will tell you we never get into disagreement.
No, because she's always right. But the thing is with Nikita Kucherov, like, when things go wrong, Ed, that's when you look at people. I say this all the time. The true strength of a person is measured not at their strongest, but at their weakest. It's easy to go, Kuch is Kuch when you win 6-2. But right now, you need him to be able to be accountable and be a leader. And when you act like that when things are bad, that's not leadership. And when you wear a letter on your chest, you're expected to be able to be strong in weak moments. And there's no way that anybody can tell me that he is strong during weak moments. He's not. And that's the sad thing, is because we keep saying like he does this all the time, but we're going on 4 years in a row. And no Steven Stamkos to come save the day and answer the questions. So how do we expect going into next season, regardless of how this season ends, that he's the guy that's going to gain accountability as he's going into his mid-30s? I just think it's unrealistic.
Well, I do think that this series is going to have a major effect on the way the Lightning view Nikita Kucherov's future, or it should, at the very least. You look at the season he had. You look at, another, arguably, I think he's probably got a good shot at winning the Hart Trophy, which is obviously a regular season award. All the votes are in for that, obviously. I'd be shocked if he wasn't a finalist. And to be honest, I'd be shocked if he doesn't win. Right. Everyone I've talked to, and in the rooms, we're with a lot of national guys. We're in, with a lot of, network guys. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, I put him first place on my ballot, and I kind of want to, regret it. After seeing this performance, both on the ice, is the body language that we talked about and everything like that. But again, like, by no means can, and this might be one of my first questions to Julian Breezeball, if we do actually have a post-mortem kind of thing, sooner than later, is that, how do those performances evaluate a player's future, especially a monumental player in terms of impact that Nikita Kucherov is. We do know that he has 1 year left on his contract. You would think that you do not want Nikita Kucherov going into a walk year unsigned. And to me, before the series ended, it seemed like an easy thing to do. Now, I'll be honest. Like I don't know, because there is. I mean, he's on the ice. He's a great player now. And yes, like take away for a second what the criticism that we're talking about now. He's instrumental on this team. He's like kind of irreplaceable to a certain extent.
Right.
But also, when you think about where he's at in his career, like we still see him at this level, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he isn't a, just for comparison's sake, a Corey Perry kind of player who can, after his reaction and his skating and all that touch goes, which it eventually does, at around 34, unless you're Steven Stamkos. When it goes, he's not going to be the guy who's going to be camping around the front of the net, cleaning stuff up, So
yeah, he's not going to be to use a football term, he's not going to be okay being a backup quarterback.
Right. So then, and his game is one that's not one like, and that's another part of this too. It's like we talk about all the time. It's like he's not McDavid, he's not McKinnon, like he's not built on speed. He's built on his pace isn't the same. Everything about his pace is not the same. But when that kind of starts to go, you do wonder what kind of player he's going to be. And one thing that Julian always is, he's always about evaluating a player in terms of comps. I don't know what a Nikita Kucherov comp is, but you do have to look at that and consider those factors if you're going to look at him on your team at 35, 36, those ages. So, yes, I totally agree that is this series and the way he's performed might be the worst thing for Nikita Kucherov's career and his path forward in terms of being here. And I'm not saying they're not going to sign him. I'm not saying that.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not
saying
that they shouldn't either. But that's my thing. And everybody's like Jay versus Ed. This is why Ed and Eric are like my big brothers. They tuck me off the ledge. They make me feel better. But that's my point. Is like not one time do I ever say like they should get rid of him. I wouldn't say that. I wish there was a way to get through to the guy. I wish there was a way that we could just be like, I just want to say hi to the guy. You know what I mean? Like, I just like, and I understand that that's how he is, right? And he needs to be like, I got to get better. But it's just like, dude, if he would just dial it down just a little bit, right? I think he could make everybody around him even better, and he would enjoy it a little bit more.
So, are we talking about the accountability part of this to like speaking to the media, or are we talking about the access to it? Because those are kind of two different things.
I think you can go hand in hand. I don't expect him to be like Brandon Hagel speaking every game, but it's not even about us, Ed. It really isn't. Like,
because it really isn't about us. Like, if it's about us, it's about us. I have a list of complaints this long at this point of the year. But
no, but what I'm saying is that's not part of the reason, but it is like a microcosm of it, right? Like that's an example that we can take from our own personal.
No, for sure. There's
and I'm
no
like,
doubt.
Like you can't even say hello sometimes, and it's just like, bro, you're that locked in, or you're that like, me against the world kind of thing. Like if you're like that here, and we see that you're like that on the ice, if you just dial it down a touch, I mean, it might be better for everybody.
And there's no doubt too. Like you said, this to me, like this is a big part of it, but like there's no doubt that I do feel, but like how little he talks to us, but I do feel that there is a factor that there is a trickle down because other players have to talk more because of him not talking, and that some of those guys can get worn out. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a team, but at the same time, the Lightning do have a structure to their media availability that allows that to happen. And like I said, we could talk that. So like we'll talk about the off season because at that point I won't give a crap about throwing anyone under the bus. But I'm just kidding. But yes, I mean like that is like how it is to us is different. But at the end of the day, there certainly is a trickle down effect because after a tough loss, no one wants to talk to us, right? But there are guys that bite the bullet, and we know who those guys are from who we get on a regular basis. but yeah, I definitely we have the feeling that it's just common sense that there is a trickle down effect that he doesn't.
We love Shannon. Happy anniversary, Shannon. Everybody, all the whole crew. For the Eduardo movie, which of Ed's nephews would play him best?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
This is going to take a while, but so Josh Hockey took his family to see the Michael Jackson movie,
Oh, wow.
and I guess the guy who plays Michael Jackson's nephew, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, his sons were he was asking his sons about, you know, which of their uncles they would most be, you know, want to play that person. And of course, because I'm the funkle, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
for sure.
Shannon, we're the funkle and the fan, Shannon and I. So we always get the so yeah. So if Jesse Liston is listening, he'll enjoy we're telling everyone that he has said that he will play Ed Encina in the Ed Encina story one day, which I don't even know what that's going to be about.
Nice. I can't wait to have a really small part in that one.
Who would play you? Who would play you in that, Jay?
Who would play me? Baker Mayfield. All right, before I let you go, I want to ask you about Victor Hedman.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yesterday, it doesn't get any easier on the show today.
Yeah.
The whole Victor Hedman situation, like I'm watching him yesterday as I'm getting ready for the podcast, and I see him like drenched in sweat, and I'm just like, he can't play. You know what I mean? Like he was out there for like 2 hours. What's your take on the Hedman thing? Do you think there's, because in my mind, I'm like laying in bed last night and I'm like, can Hedman come back for game 7? I know they said no, but like nobody said anything about Sergachev coming back from his broken leg for game 5. Like in my mind, you know, master director Steven Spielberg, Jay Recher over here. What if the Lightning win in game 6 and all of a sudden we see Victor Hedman on the ice with the team for game 7? I mean, crazy things happen.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. That there's precedent there that there have thrown guys out there to provide a spark in a major situation like that. You know, there was, like you mentioned, the Sergachev thing a couple years ago. I think they were down 3-1 in that game, and then they brought him out at home. Now, the other thing no one really thinks about is I think it was 2022. Alex Killorn breaks his leg in game 1, and if there was a game 7 in that series, Alex Killorn was prepared to play in that series, in that game 7. So there's no doubt. Anything, it goes back to just the toughness that a lot of these guys play through and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, the more, and obviously Cooper has been, you know, very like not this series, getting there. But yeah, like watching him practice now and watching him in Montreal, to me, from watching what he's doing, there's nothing, I don't see anything that he's not doing that's preventing him from being an option. Right. Yeah. And then again, now that's being an option too. I think that's the bigger question too. It's like at some point you have to say, well, this guy's better than the other 7 guys. And I think, you know, you can make the argument that he is. But having said that, I saw the same sweaty Victor Hedman that you're talking about when he was coming back from the elbow surgery.
Right.
Like I remember one practice in Brandon where, you know, the day before he was talking about how he felt like he was in the best shape of his career for January, right? Yeah. Because he had had so much time off. It was an upper body injury, so he could still, you know, stay in shape. And then the next day he had this like huge long work day, and he was in there sweating and he was gassed, right? And but so, and the thing is, like, you're like, with this situation, you never know till you know in terms of throwing him in there. So that's the leap of faith that they have to be like, he's ready, and we feel we're so confident that he's ready, that it's not going to, one, damage the goal of him being able to help them win the game,
right?
And 2, like, going back to any reason why he was out in the first place,
right.
Set that back in any way, shape, or form. So, like, there's some things here that are kind of, it's not as easy as looking at him and being like, that guy's ready, why isn't he out there?
Right.
And again, another thing about this is the spotlight of the national media on this. Like, they're looking at it being like, hey, that's Victor Hedman. He looks fine. Like, why isn't he out there? And I think a lot of those guys, this isn't a knock, but like haven't seen the Hedman that we've seen this year, which is one that has been playing through stuff, seems to have been injured, never really got on the right track. Just had a rough year in general throughout the season. So
because he's gonna have to answer all those questions. Like if he does come back,
right,
he's gonna have to address it all,
right? That's the other thing too. Is like I would honestly, the way I always thought about it, like I said, I'm not by any means throwing out the idea of a game 7, them throwing him out there. But again, yes,
he hasn't. We can't do that. We can't do that.
I wouldn't just because of the precedent that, like you mentioned, the Sergachev thing, the Kaloran stuff, and everything like that.
Oh, so we're helping. Are we hurting or helping if I do? So if I clip this and put it on Instagram and get 1 million views, that's a bad thing.
Ed Encina says Ed had been back in Game 7.
No, I said if I put could have been playing Game 7, we should steer clear of that. Is that what you're saying?
You can do it.
No. I want to do it. I'm asking, regardless of we're on the podcast or not. Like, if I texted you or called you, is this one of those things? Because journalistic integrity, it means a lot to me because I'm not a journalist like you and Eric.
Well, again, like I'm looking at more of a perspective that's happened before. Like they brought guys back that we did not expect to come back to add a spark, and I think when they brought Sergachev back, I think they won that game, but I'm not sure.
No, I think they lost.
Which makes me think, well, it didn't work, right?
But 11-7, right? Because I think if they would bring him back and they played, you
can protect him a little bit, sure. Yeah. So in that frame, I mean, like then he's less. You can protect him a little bit. He's less vulnerable to not being ready. But I mean, also we definitely saw this with Victor more so than with Matt. Is that they definitely, when he came back, they were definitely kind of slow playing him both times he came back too. So that you got to think about that too. But again, I guess the one thing that I'll have to say this is that I hate about this whole thing is when I get mentions on X/Twitter or the Twitter machine saying like that Victor Hedman has let this team down. You know what I mean? Like we don't know everything about this situation. Right. And we won't until he plays. And again, like he has not talked to the media. The team has protected him, rightfully so, for whatever reason. And but I think everyone knows that once he plays, he's going to have to sit there and explain this whole thing. Now, that's a factor too. Right or wrong, that's a factor too. Right. So do you want to be going into a Game 7 and there's ways to probably hide Victor, and then he's not on the morning skate. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he pops out of the tunnel for Game 7. But eventually, he's still going to have to kind of explain himself. And I think he knows that. The team knows that. We know that. I think everyone's respected his privacy with this, knowing that at some part he's going to have to kind of explain that. Now, whether he explains that after a game that all of a sudden he's played in, or he explains that at the podium after the end of the season, or at some other time, regardless, it's going to be something that he's going to have to explain,
Yeah, and then here's the thing: if he goes out there and he freaking turns the puck over and they lose the game, that's also
right.
that's another thing too.
That goes back to then we're in a worse place than you were coming in.
You're not here for feel goods. All right, before you go, buddy, let everybody know what you got up on Tampa Bay. I was reading a bunch of the articles, you and John Romano today. Again, guys, support local, no doubt about it. What do we got up there right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have a Romano column just kind of on some of the stuff that I think you were talking about how the big guys have to come through here. It's it's kind of put up or shut up time, and when you look back at what these first round exits have meant, a lot of it is the big guys not showing up when they need them the most. And right as I said, right now we're writing a Game 6 preview about the team's mentality and everything going into it. Can they pull another one out when their back's against the wall, so to speak, and then force a game 7. And then like the funny thing about now is like as is like I got to play day to day here. Like I hop on a flight to Montreal and tomorrow night, we don't know whether we're writing about a game 7 or we're writing about how this team's a disaster. So so I can't put you too forward on that, but I can break out the crystal ball. But.
That's right. Well, before we go, we just want to say one more time, Ed, thank you so much for joining us every Thursday. It's always a great chat with you, and happy anniversary to you and your significantly better half, the one and only Shannon Encina. Shenardo, which is the great, it's better than Brangelina.
Jay, I got one question for you. Is it bourbon? Is it bourbon chicken? Is it Chick-fil-A? Is it what is there? Chipotle. They have a Chipotle in here too.
Chipotle? Yeah, make sure they give you the double scoop. I would go with the bourbon chicken. Switch it up.
Yeah. See, the thing is, what I used to like to do is I would just keep walking back and forth and they give me free samples.
Yes, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just do that.
Bourbon chicken. I think that's the way to go today.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Well, have a safe
see you later,
trip.
buddy.
Hopefully, I'll see you Sunday night, buddy.
Yep. See you, bud.
See you, man. The great Ed Encina. Support local, guys. Support local. Tampa Bay Times. He is the man, especially this time of year, right after the NFL draft and all the stuff with the Ray Stadium. And, of course, Ed going up there to Montreal. Not many people going up there from the Tampa Bay area, but Ed is there. He's the best. It's good to have Ed and Eric kind of bringing me back down to earth a little bit because I was on fire today, baby. I was on fire. All right. It's going to wrap it up for me today. I feel like my blood pressure is coming. It's still high, but it's coming down a little bit. I'm going to be on with T-Crass today on 95.3 WDAA at 4 o'clock today. So you can go check me out there. Guys, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Go get you some shirts. If you want to make me feel good, go get some freaking shirts. The Hagels Bagels, the Recher podcast. And again, the shirts that we just got, our guy Steve Garner just got one. My Aunt Renee just got one. And the fabric is incredible, man. Incredible. So go check it out right there. We love Ed Encina, Shannon Encina, and Jen, the whole family. So grateful for them. They are the best. Ed's the man. He really is. We're just so glad that he's here in the Bay Area, back again from Baltimore all those years ago and covering the Lightning. And I always say, man, it's not the games, it's not the athletes, it's the people that we work with, the Erics, the Eds, the Dr. Rodriguez. Like, that's what it's all about. That's what makes this job so great. So can't appreciate Ed and Eric for joining me and being with me this whole time here on the Recher podcast. We're growing, man. We really are. We're getting bigger and bigger every single day. And I can't thank you guys enough. A big thank you to our guy, Dan Greco, for the freaking super chat. This guy, unbelievable. Oh, Miguelo, you're making the big dog proud today with a $20 super chat. Man, you guys are the best. Dan and Miguelo, thank you guys so much. That means so much to me. I really, really appreciate you guys. The post-game show will be on TikTok, so get on over to TikTok right now. I'll be on for a couple of minutes. And, tomorrow, probably just going to be a short show because I got to get a haircut. I'm actually doing something for USF tomorrow. I'm trying to see if Dave Randorf is going to join us tomorrow at 12:30. So that'll be good. Probably just an hour because I pretty much got everything out today. And then I'll be live tomorrow night. So, damn. I got to go take a shower or something right now. I'm all sweaty. Pirates Bay Printing, there you go. There's the link again. Please go get you the shirts now and support the program. Head on over to TikTok right now at Recher, and we'll continue the chat there. A big thank you to Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, Ed Encina, and you. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the